Where I'm going to be a fake populist on here for Tucker Carlson. That's all Jimmy Dore does. That's why Tucker Carlson has him on the show, because Tucker Carlson knows Jimmy Dore's an idiot, and he makes people think dumb. All right, so Jimmy Dore is one of Tucker Carlson's favorite useful idiots, and here he's going to spread false propaganda about Joe Biden and Trump and Afghanistan.
Why didn't we know this was going to happen? And the people who train the Afghan military...
By the way, it's titled, Jimmy Dore Brings Anti-War Message to Fox News. Let's see what he really brings.
Where are they tonight? Jimmy Dore is the host of the Jimmy Dore Show. He joins us. Thank you, Jimmy Dore, for coming on tonight. You got to wonder, 20 years of training the Afghan military by the Pentagon, what did they do with all that time and all that money?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, just imagine if we weren't in Afghanistan for the last 20 years, the Middle East might be unstable. So, I mean, you remember Trump tried to pull.
Wow, that laugh, so fake. Oh my God.
By the way, this war is bipartisan, right? As right. All wars are. They're very bipartisan.
All right, both parties are bad. There's
right
one.
Now, the military-industrial complex
Equally
has a stranglehold on both parties. So Trump was trying to pull us out of this war because it turns out you can't just invade other people's countries, set up a Starbucks and a McDonald's.
Trump was an isolationist. A true anti-war stance has diplomacy and other relations involved. You can't be like anti-war and just be isolationist like Trump. That isn't how the world works. Isolationism isn't the same as being anti-interventionist.
I think they're going to be just like us. We've had fathers and sons, and pretty soon we're going to have grandsons fighting in Afghanistan. So it's a nice way for Americans to make multi-generational memories, I guess. But what happened when Trump tried to pull out, if you remember, Congressman Crowley and Liz Cheney got together, bipartisan, and they put a stop. And they said Trump wouldn't be able to pull out unless he met these certain criteria, which we'll never meet. So they made sure the president, the commander-in-chief, could not pull us out of Afghanistan. But now here is Joe Biden.
So Trump wanted to pull us out, and that would have been a good thing. That's what Jimmy Dore is saying. Now watch what he follows that up with.
Who claims he's going to pull us out of Afghanistan. First of all, as soon as he announced it, he started ramping up the bombing. I don't know if you know that. He bombed Shahid Anwar Khan High School and a health clinic that killed 20 people, a lot of them women and children. So he's ramping up the bomb.
Donald Trump, his drone strikes dominated what Obama did. Like, the number of drone strikes that happened under Trump dwarfed what Obama did. And plus, during Trump's admin, and they don't talk about any of this on Fox News, Jimmy Dore never brings it up. He's so anti-war and whatever, but he doesn't bring up Donald Trump's drone strikes. Not only did he do more, but he took away every mechanism that can hold our country accountable. So during the Obama admin, you can typically find what he did and how he did it and when he did it when it comes to the strikes. Trump's admin censored a lot of that information so that the public wouldn't be able to access or know about about where our bombs are actually dropping. But of course, we aren't going to talk about that. Trump wanted to pull us out, and they didn't let him. The corrupt establishment. And now that Joe Biden is pulling us out of Afghanistan, guess what?
Bombings as he's saying we're pulling out, and I don't know what that is, if that's dementia or what, but that's the guy who's ordering the strikes. That's happening right now.
And by the way, I hate the idea that a singular president is making these decisions. Like, these are entire admins. Like, Joe Biden isn't looking at a map of the Middle East or what wherever and saying all right, Jack, we got to pull out. Like, he isn't doing that. He has advisors that are telling him what to do, when to do it. But pay attention to how Jimmy talks about Joe Biden pulling out. He makes it like a big conspiracy theory. Oh, Joe Biden only pulled out because now he gets to bomb other countries more.
Increase the military budget. So why is Joe Biden being allowed to pull out?
Military budget increasing, okay, is a thing that happens literally every single year, no matter who is in office. But he doesn't criticize Republicans for that. They're more wasteful military spending. But of course, both parties are the same.
Out of Afghanistan? Well, because he's agreed to start bombing in Somalia. I don't know if you know that.
So this idea that Joe Biden had a trade-off. All right, if we pull out of here, Afghanistan, we can then bomb Somalia more. That's not how this works. It's not like you're in a Pokemon match and you can pick which moves to use and you have to substitute moves out for other moves. This understanding of foreign policy is literally a brain dead conceptual look at it. Imagine that, dude. oh, Trump wanted to pull us out, but they didn't let him. Now that Joe Biden is pulling out, oh, it's because he's bombing other countries. Trump bombed like 2,000% more. He sent that many more drone strikes, but we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to be these. I'm going to be a fake populist on here for Tucker Carlson. That's all Jimmy Dore does. That's why Tucker Carlson has him on the show, because Tucker Carlson knows Jimmy Dore's an idiot, and he makes people think dumb.
Happening. Joe Biden is now bombing the poorest people in Africa. Like 40% of the country are nomads, and Joe Biden is now bombing Somalia. So that, and now he's occupying a third of Syria right now.
Young Chino, please mention how drone strikes are at an all-time low right now. That's another thing we have to look at when it comes to military activity. You have to have a comparative analysis. You can't just say, like, this is a bad thing, therefore it is equal to the other bad things. 100 strikes is different from 2,000 strikes, and that nuance needs to be approached whenever you're talking about this. You can't talk about like, oh, both parties are the same. They're not the same. Less conflict is going to be caused throughout the entire world because of Joe Biden. Joe Biden is willing to actually be involved in international organizations and in, NATO and in any, every country that has a liberal democracy hates Trump's regime. Every country that does not have a liberal democracy. So Russia and like Hungary, I know right-wing media like Tucker Carlson, they're fawning over Hungary right now. Hungary is a fascist state right now. They are declared by almost every organization as an they're not a real democracy. All the illiberal countries that have no democracies loved the Trump regime. All the actual democracies like France, the UK, Canada, all these other countries hated Trump's regime. Now with Joe Biden and this entire admin that is looking for more diplomatic solutions, we are going to see less conflict globally as a result. But yeah, I don't know. This anti-war position that like Jimmy Dore has, that Kyle Kalinske has, they don't think about the nuance much, other than like we shouldn't be there. So that's why I think these populist lefties or whatever are more isolationist than they are anti-interventionist with how they talk about it. Somebody like Michael Brooks would have been an actual anti-interventionist, but I don't think that's what like Jimmy Dore or Kyle Kalinske are. And Tucker Carlson is an isolationist, nationalist, fascistic actor. So that makes sense why he would want to agree with Jimmy Dore's position here.
So he's just switching his imperialism. And I really appreciate you giving me a chance to come on and talk about this, because they'll never stand up against imperialism at CNN or MSNBC or anywhere else.
And by the way, a lot of the drone strikes we're doing right now are being requested by other countries. That was a big article that went around because on Twitter a lot of people shared that Joe Biden was increasing drone strikes this month. But if you look into the actual documentation, they were requested by countries in the region. So like we have to look into this stuff and look at the nuances. We can't just have an emotional reaction to the first thing we see on Twitter. We can critique American foreign policy where it makes sense, but we can't do it in a dumb way. Because if we do it in a dumb way, nobody is going to take our criticisms seriously.
So I just want to say
make real ones.
What we need right now is a real anti-war movement to rise up in America.
And of course, yeah, Jimmy Dore supported Tulsi Gabbard, another anti-war candidate. Anti-war, and we watched a documentary a couple days ago about her about her history of being anti-war. It's funny how this all lines up and how Tulsi cozies up with far-right authoritarian dictators as well. It's amazing, dude. Then they agree with sympathizers of the USSR and China. Like, it's amazing how all this happens. They're just anti-America. There is no other politics.
Stop these wars. They gave Joe Biden an extra $25 billion to do war. I thought we're getting out of Afghanistan. Why does it need an extra $25 billion? And let's remember
to do war.
Yes. How much $25 billion is. $20 billion, they say, could end homelessness.
Yes, so I'm sure Tucker Carlson is for ending homelessness. If you want to make an honest approach or like an honest appeal to Tucker Carlson viewers, you need to actually demand like policy concessions. Should the government be doing this thing? Should the government be doing this policy? Like, we need to be like getting Tucker to agree to that explicitly. So like if Joe Biden says we should be investing money in housing in this area so there's less homelessness, or we should make sure all vets have a home or whatever, then they have to own up to it. Like, oh, we agree on that policy solution. But this is the big issue that like Vosh had with the show Rising and stuff. The far right and far left, they might feel like they agree on certain criticisms of what's happening, but unless if they agree on solutions, none of it even matters. They need to agree on some type of solution. Right after this conversation with Jimmy Dore, Tucker Carlson, and we are gonna do another like we're gonna do a what is it called, like a rebuttal to this. Tucker Carlson is going to go and fearmonger about the white replacement theory. He's going to tell white people to be afraid because their country's being taken over by non-white people. Like, this is the person Jimmy Dore is, fancying or whatever. Like, he loves Tucker Carlson so much because it's bland populism. There is no direction. It's just angry.
We just don't have the political where every pothole those $25 billion worth of bombs make in another country is a pothole that's not getting fixed in America.
And Tucker Carlson and other media figures alike called the current infrastructure plan, which, by the way, is boring. It's a boring infrastructure plan. It literally only has to do with roads and bridges and stuff like that in this bipartisan deal. And people like Tucker Carlson called it a woke bill. Bro, they don't care about fixing anything in America. They care about making people mad and blaming all the problems on people who are not white. That's Tucker Carlson's job. Isolationism, nationalism, like all that stuff. I wish we could just be like, all right, build America for everybody. That includes people who are not white. That includes people who do not fit Tucker Carlson's perfect mold of what is the perfect American. That includes people who have issues with our country and want to improve it. That includes everybody. That should be the main goal of this entire thing. But yeah, Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore is a real smart guy, huh?